Galaxian Entertainment have a huge opportunity, and generally everybody likes their events when it comes to April Fools. And as a part of that sort of experimentation and that exploration, as per what was in the intro, I'd love to sort of see them experiment with some new things and test out some new features, and obviously, you know, have a bunch of fun. One of the things I was most disappointed about during the 10th anniversary celebration was the fact that they didn't bother to bring back some of the older April Fools events as like a mini sort of, you know, here for 10 days we're going to have 10 events that we've run in the past. And yeah, sure, there were cool things like the Sturm Tiger and various other bits and pieces, but the 10th anniversary special itself wasn't exactly ideal. I would have loved to see them bring back all the 12 events that they've had over the past 10 years in order to really sort of have a bunch of fun. But alas, that never happened, so we didn't end up by seeing some of the other types of vehicles that were potentially a thing. Starting off with Little Ponies in the Sky was 2013, which was basically ponies with big lasers. In 2014, we had the Gargula Snail, where you had to fight an abomination that could basically one-tap you out of the sky, and then you had to basically stop it from capturing a control point by bombing it and doing various damage with rockets, etc., etc. That was quite fun. 2015 was probably the most popular one that I remember. It was the Walkers and Unrealistic battles. Now, March to Victory was basically a bunch of fictitious walkers that had legs and KV-2 turrets and machine guns strapped to the side of them, and they were basically walking around just shooting each other with guns. It was good fun. There was a bunch of unleft-over assets from that in the game files, which I'll showcase in this video at some point. And then there is Unrealistic battles, a bunch of blow-up, M4 Shermans with armor piercing as carrots and regular rounds as potatoes, making fun of the competition, that being World of Tanks. In 2016, we had a sailing fleet in War Thunder, which was one of the best events that War Thunder has ever done, at least one of my favourites. And you remember in the 10th anniversary, they showcased some of the things that they actually had from the April Fool's events. Next on the list is some of the background footage right now. This is basically top tier, what top tier became. Essentially, War Thunder was testing a bunch of various different pieces, and people then assumed that from now on we were always testing new and different things, and to be fair, they are. And this was basically rank 9, as it was joked, and you know, well, now you can get it for rank 5 and rank 6, and there's already rank 7, so I presume that rank 8 will surely only follow very, very shortly, and maybe some other different things. But anyway, in 2018 we had possibly the most useless April Fool's event that ever was to see. That was Silent Thunder, testing for submarines and various other radar elements, as well as testing for, well, surface-to-surface missiles and various other different devices, and how War Thunder would interact in a 2D and /3D space between water and surface. On the side, there was also hats off to you with comically large hats for your ground vehicles. In 2019, we had Earth Thunder, We Are Not Their Playthings. Essentially, it was just basically UFOs versus UFOs and testing various different ammunition types against, well, different ballistics. Of course, you could go underwater, you could hover, and it was a test for basically VTOL mechanics and how that would work in War Thunder. And in 2020, we had Space Thunder, basically a bunch of small, well, I want to call it Lancaster gunner sort of sized things with elements of jets and various other bits and pieces. And in 2021, we had 2 events, which has been the first time that they've run 2 events together, which was basically Tailspin, which was Cartoon Thunder, which they've run again since, and Warfare 2077, which was basically a test of laser-guided munitions and various other different types of interesting game mechanics, like a tank that went invisible for a short period of time and various other different things. In 2022, there was Worm Thunder, Children of Arrakis, because obviously the Dune movie came out and you had to fight a massive worm, and there were various other vehicles which had, well, different systems. For example, a long-range MLRS type vehicle with rockets, a tank which could elevate itself and do various different things, and then, well, I believe it was a remote-controlled UAV sort of type drone thing. But again, these were all in the previous updates and previous April Fools anyway, so I'm not entirely sure of the testing for Children of Arrakis outside of maybe special events in Destruction in the video game, because that worm was mightily deadly. Anyway, now that you've been briefed on some of the history of some of the things that came to War Thunder, now let me tell you about what I think is going to be potential for, well, April Fool's testing event. Last year, my prediction was going to be, they're going to, use this, period as maybe we're going to verse F-16s or, use F-22s or some sort of like, stealth mechanic. And, well, with recent events, with an F-22 shooting down a Chinese spy balloon, maybe they should do something inspired by spy balloon antics. I'm not entirely sure how well that would run down, but it'd be funny nonetheless. My other thought would be, why don't we, instead of focusing on the more high-tier stuff like F-18s and Su-33s and various other aircraft systems and tank systems, why not we go and, take a look at the reverse? Why don't we go back and look at World War I vehicles? While it would be fun as an event, I don't know how it would translate in terms of what would they test. Material physics doesn't really add up to me, but I would love to go play Sopwith Camel, for example, or even a Fokker triplane, just to have a bunch of fun, even if it's in a more arcadey experience, because there isn't really a game like that out there that really focuses on World War I stuff. So, well, aside some Rise of Flight and a couple of modules for, well, IL-2. And yeah, I did do an April Fool's video a couple of years ago where I tricked the community in thinking the Bob Semple was the April Fool's event. Sadly, unless they go and do that and actually add the Bob Semple, then, maybe I'll be a bit happy. But I doubt that'll actually be an event, because what will the Bob Semple be testing? Not much indeed. But, maybe stealth, multi-vehicle systems maybe. Playable trains was another thing. Everyone loves to get aboard the pain train, for example, and various other people have suggested that, well, they could actually be testing for more ship-to-ship missiles, but we have the Douglas in game, and that already is a surface-to-surface missile system. So what is there left to really test outside of this civilian aircraft, which was spotted in the 2.5 data mine leak last year? Actually, no, it's been 2 years now, and some of these vehicles have been updated. And another content creator by the name of Volpanaut has made a video on how Gaijin was going to make a Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020-esque video game. So maybe we'll see civilian airlines as a part of this year's April Fool's. But again, I've talked about this in topic and mentioned it in passing several times. So it's a matter of a public opinion at this rate. So what do you guys think the next major April Fool's event will be? Let me know in the comments down below. It could be that we're fighting giant killer robots, and inspired by, the recent success of that being Atomic Hearts, which Gaijin also partially funded, which is a bunch of breadcrumbs towards what could be a bunch of robots. So we could be doing something with robots as well. That's another thing that crossed my mind. I don't know. There's plenty of things in the game already existing that we don't exactly know. But playable trains or aircraft carriers don't really make sense, and self-propelled systems like artillery and anti-air vehicles also don't necessarily make a great deal of sense outside of the fact that they're there for novelty. And while we do have the Lorraine 155 in-game, I think it's the 155, a little French tank with a 150mm gun, it really begs the question, what is going to actually happen? Because we've almost experienced everything there is to experience, so maybe we could have some sort of classic Western-styled War Thunder, or maybe they bring back an event from one of their other games, Enlisted or Crossout, and they turn that into some form of thing from War Thunder. I know they also had articles on and things in the store page in 2014 for Star Conflict, their space game. Basically, they had a version of War Thunder which was, well, a TIE fighter. So there's that, and there's an image of that somewhere on the forums. Of course, in their other games, Crossout, Enlisted, Cuisine Royale, also known as Cursed Foe, I think it is now, they've had various other events and various sort of really interesting game modes, which we'll probably end up by covering this year, as well, it's a bunch of fun, I suppose. But yeah, that's it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. What do you think would be a suitable, April Fool's event? Personally, I'm going to go with one of my options that I chose before, and it's really hard to decide whether we're going to get F-18s or some sort of time-traveling mechanic, or they go completely into an alternate future, or some sort of other sort of thing is yet to be known. But it's probably going to be likely that it's going to be either some sort of World War I thing, or maybe even some form of advanced intelligence or warfare type event thing. Anyway, thank you very much for watching today's video. My name is Ash, and I'll catch you in the next one. buy my decal as well, by the way, and get 3% off anything in War Thunder. That's all I have to say today. Cheerio.